I didn't mean to find it. I was just scrolling through Reddit like any other sleepless night, the kind where the glow of the screen feels warmer than any blanket, where the silence in the room makes every tap of a key sound like a drumbeat. I thought I was looking for nothing more than some half-forgotten meme threads, some late-night chaos on a dead subreddit. But then I saw the username, and something about it stopped me cold. At first glance, it looked ordinary, a string of letters and numbers like any other account. But the account age caught my eye. 15 years. That's longer than some of my friends have been alive, longer than some entire subreddits have existed. Curiosity made me click. And then I saw it. Every single day, without fail, a post. No gaps, no deleted history, no missing days. Just one post per day, stretching all the way back to 2009. I started reading. The first entries were simple. Short lines almost like a diary, except it wasn't signed me. It was just day 1, day 2, day 3. Some of them didn't even make sense at first. Coordinates, times, cryptic phrases like "it waits" or "still here, still watching." Yet at the time, I laughed. Probably some obsessive weirdo, I thought, typing in the middle of the night, keeping a journal online instead of on paper. But there was a rhythm, a cadence. And the longer I scrolled, the more I realized it wasn't randomness, it was counting something. By the time I got to the posts from the last week, the air in my room felt heavier. The newest post, it had been made 6 minutes ago. 6 minutes ago, this user had typed the latest line in an unbroken chain that had been going on for 15 years. And the line wasn't normal. It didn't just log a date. It was a warning. Something like, "It's almost here. Keep watching." A chill ran down my spine. I sat back and tried to laugh it off, but my hands were shaking. This wasn't a Reddit obsession. This was something else. Something alive. Something counting down. And for some reason, though I couldn't explain why, I had the terrible, urgent feeling that the countdown was about to reach 0. I decided to start from the beginning, to see what this account looked like when it first started. I scrolled past the newest posts, past the chaotic logs of the last few years, and finally landed at day 1. The post was simple, so simple it almost felt deliberately dull. Day 1. Still here. Still watching. I stared at it. One line. Nothing else. No context. No flair. No indication of why someone would dedicate 15 years to typing this same thing every single day. It looked like a diary entry, except diaries aren't usually public. Diaries aren't usually posted on Reddit. Diaries certainly don't come with coordinates and timestamps that made no sense. Day 2 followed, almost identical. Day 2. Nothing yet. And day 3. Day 3. Same as before. At first, I thought it was the work of some bored person, an obsessive pattern, a hobby born from insomnia and too much caffeine. That's what I told myself. But then the strange entries started to appear. Little cryptic warnings embedded in the normal-looking logs. Day 17. If you find this account, don't scroll too far. Day 23. The pattern must continue. Someone is watching. Day 42. Don't ignore the days. It notices. I shivered. The simplicity of the first posts had been a mask. Beneath them, a slow, deliberate tension had been growing, like a shadow inching closer across the floor. I kept scrolling. The early posts were short, often no more than a few words. But over time, I noticed the rhythm, the cadence, the consistency that almost screamed, "This is meant to be seen." I checked the comments. Almost nothing. Sometimes a confused user would write, "Bro, what? Or are you okay?" But the account never responded. It never engaged. There was no interaction, no humor, no argument, no acknowledgement of anyone else. Just the posts day after day, stretching into the hundreds. It felt unnatural. Ordinary Reddit accounts go inactive. They disappear. They get banned or abandoned. This one, it persisted. No break. No missed day. 15 years of continuity that defied reason. I began to realize that this wasn't a hobby. It was an obsession. It was something deeper. Something that wanted to be noticed. And I had noticed. Scrolling further, I began to notice small details. Certain phrases were repeated across years, almost like hidden markers. Still here, watching, don't stop. At first, I thought I was imagining patterns, but then the repetition became undeniable. The account had a language of its own, a code hidden in plain sight. I didn't notice it at first. I thought the early entries were just random, a diary without purpose. But after scrolling past hundreds of posts, something clicked. A pattern emerged. It wasn't overt, but it was there. Every 7 days, a week exactly, a longer entry appeared. Not just a single line this time. Entire paragraphs filled with numbers, coordinates, and words that didn't make sense at first glance. Words like shadow, the door, and it moved closer kept repeating. I stared at one particular entry. Day 742. It moved closer today. I think it knows I'm tracking it. The words felt like they were watching me back. I didn't even know what it was yet, but the certainty in the post was chilling. The phrasing, short, deliberate, almost clinical, felt like a surveillance log. Like someone had been recording not just events, but a creeping presence, something that existed in parallel to the real world, something that measured its steps carefully. Another entry a few months later, read, Day 1023. If I ever stop posting, it wins. I froze. That sentence alone carried the weight of 15 years of obsession. It wasn't about keeping a record anymore. It was a defense. Some unseen force, something, depended on these posts. If the post stopped, the balance would tip. The scale would fall in favor of whatever lurked behind the words. I tried to tell myself it was some elaborate ARG, a long-term online project designed to freak people out. But then I messaged a friend of mine, someone who'd been lurking in Reddit longer than I had. I asked casually, "Hey, have you ever seen an account this old?" His reply was simple, almost incredulous. "Dude, that account is older than half the users on Reddit. 15 years straight. No deleted posts, no breaks. That's insane." His words did nothing to calm me. They only made the reality sink in. This wasn't some short-lived joke. This was a commitment, or maybe a warning. Something that had persisted longer than most lives online. Something that had endured long enough to shape itself into a system, a machine of daily messages. The thing that really unsettled me, the thing that made me start keeping notes on the screen itself instead of just scrolling, was the rhythm. The repetition. The almost hypnotic certainty of the account. It was teaching me its pattern, letting me see it, but also letting me know that the moment I looked away, something would continue regardless. And if I didn't keep watching, I might miss the moment the pattern finally broke. It wasn't just the posts themselves that unsettled me, it was the comments. At first glance, almost every post was untouched, as if the world had ignored it entirely. But then I noticed something strange. Some posts showed the faint trace of a comment that had been deleted. I clicked, hoping for a trivial joke or a bot spam, and the empty space made my stomach tighten. Something was being removed, deliberately. Curiosity overpowered caution. I opened an archive site, one that captured snapshots of Reddit pages over the years. It took hours, but I started restoring some of the missing threads. And what I found, it made the hairs on my neck stand on end. People had been trying to contact the account for years. Some were casual, almost joking. "Hey man, what's with the posts? Stop trolling us." But others were desperate, terrified, Are you the guy from the 2013 incident? Stop posting coordinates. They're real locations. My brother went to the place you posted. He never came back. I read that last comment twice. My hands trembled. The comment had been deleted within minutes of being posted, but the archive preserved it like a ghost. Whoever was behind this account wasn't just ignoring questions, they were erasing warnings, deleting evidence. Some threads were even more sinister. Replies that seemed like casual advice, like "don't go there" or "check the logs again," were gone. The account had left no trace of acknowledgement, yet its presence was everywhere. It felt alive, watching, curating its own narrative. Almost like it understood that being observed wasn't enough, it had to control the story itself. As I scrolled, a sense of dread settled in. The account, which had first seemed like a strange personal journal, now felt like a record of something real. Something documented. People had vanished. People had been warned. And the original poster had maintained an unbroken streak of posts through it all. The more I read, the more I realized the stakes. This wasn't a simple obsession. This wasn't a creative writing project or a bizarre roleplay. There was a system in place, a rhythm that had endured for 15 years, and those who stumbled too close, those who questioned too much, got erased, or worse, left reminders that the account was more than just a person typing words on a screen. And then I found it, the post that would change everything. Day 3, 650. The halfway point of the 15-year timeline. Its content was different from the early cryptic notes or the occasional warnings. This one was longer, more detailed, almost like a confession. The user wrote about fear, about responsibility, about the consequences of stopping. Reading it, I felt a cold weight in my chest, the kind that settles deep into your bones. It wasn't just a post. It was a contract, a warning, a directive. I didn't know if I was ready to see what came next, but the rhythm demanded it. Day after day, comment after comment, I had been pulled into the cycle. And now, with the halfway point visible, the story was no longer someone else's. Somehow I had become part of it. I reached day 3, 650, and I froze. Unlike the short, cryptic lines that peppered the first half of the account, this post was long, almost essay-like. It read like a confession, raw, terrified, detailed. I had to read it slowly, word by word, because the weight of it pressed against me through the screen. The user began by explaining why he started posting daily. At first, it sounded like paranoia, maybe even mental illness. I post every day because if I stop, it comes closer. Every night it waits outside my door, in the shadows, watching. The air changes when it's near. I can feel it in the vibration of the floorboards, in the reflection of the mirrors. I laughed nervously at first. Probably delusional, I told myself. Obsession can do that to a person. But then the post continued. He described patterns, calculations, rituals. The timing of the posts wasn't arbitrary. Each log reset something he couldn't fully explain. A countdown, a trap, a barrier, whatever it was, the posts kept it at bay. And then the line that made my stomach twist. It only works if someone else sees the record. I read it again. Someone else sees the record. He wasn't posting just to protect himself. The account knighted witnesses, readers, observers. That meant every one of us scrolling through the posts, every casual commenter, every archivist trying to understand it, was a participant in the ritual. That revelation sank in slowly. My heart raced. I wasn't just reading a creepy old account, I was being pulled into the mechanism itself. The original poster hadn't simply documented a threat, he had created a system that required engagement. Without witnesses, the pattern wouldn't hold. Without someone else seeing, the thing would succeed. And it was clear from his writing that the thing wasn't patient, it noticed when attention waned, when eyes turned away. The post went further. He described moments when the entity had adapted. Small, horrifying details, a shadow in a reflection moving independently, sounds of typing when no one was at the computer, doors opening on their own. And then the most unsettling note of all. It learned how to use the internet. That line made me jerk back from the screen. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I wanted to close the page, to pretend none of this existed. But something about the rhythm of the words, the insistence of the dates, the way he described the pattern, kept me scrolling. I was already part of it. Even the simplest act of reading, the posts had drawn me in. I realized that day 3, 650 wasn't just a halfway mark. It was a pivot. Up to this point, the posts were observation. Now they were instructions. Now they were a call to action for anyone who stumbled across the account. If the post stopped being observed, the consequences wouldn't just be on the poster, they would spread. By the time I reached year 10 of the account, something had shifted. The posts were no longer simple logs, short and cryptic. They were frantic, almost incoherent. I remember one post from day 3, 652, that made my chest tighten. The door moved again. I stared at the words, rereading them. The door moved again. That wasn't metaphorical. That was someone observing the impossible, the normal world betraying its own rules. Then another post appeared the next day. It typed something yesterday. I didn't write that post. My hands trembled as I scrolled. It wasn't just panic. It was intrusion. Something or someone was interacting with the account in ways the original poster didn't control. And then there was the anomaly, a post that clearly wasn't written in the usual style. Short, blunt, direct. Stop looking. I froze. The timestamp glared at me, 3:33 a.m. I could feel the coldness of the words, like a physical presence. At that exact moment, I realized this wasn't a story being typed by someone in a room, it was evolving. It was aware of me. I couldn't help myself. I typed a comment, shaking. Is this some kind of ARG or something? I expected the usual Reddit silence, the ignored question. Instead, a reply appeared almost immediately. It was the first direct interaction from the account in 15 years. You shouldn't be here. My stomach dropped. I clicked to refresh the page, thinking it must have been a glitch, a prank by a bot. But the reply was gone. Completely vanished, leaving no trace. My own comment remained, trembling in the void, a reminder that whatever I had just seen had chosen to retract itself. And then more posts appeared. They were faster now, one after the other, like a heartbeat accelerating. Day 3, 701. Do not turn away. It knows you are reading. I didn't dare blink. The pattern, the rhythm, the careful cadence of years had broken into chaos. It wasn't the poster anymore. It was something else, something that had learned the system, something that had grown smarter, more impatient, more aware. And somehow, impossibly, it seemed to be reaching out toward me. Every post that appeared in that hour felt personal, as if the account had realized I existed and was adjusting its language accordingly. Short sentences, commands, warnings, all meant to unsettle, to make me complicit. The line between reading and participating blurred until it no longer existed. I felt like I wasn't just observing anymore. I was part of it. Every refresh of the page was like leaning over a cliff, the wind howling below, daring me to fall. And the worst part, the posts didn't stop. Even when I looked away for a few seconds, new lines appeared. I felt the inevitability of it, the creeping inevitability that whatever this was, whatever had haunted the original poster for 10 years, was now aware of me, and I had no way to opt out. I tried to leave. I tried to close my browser. But something inside me, a mix of dread and compulsive curiosity, kept me staring. I couldn't let it go. And that's when the next post appeared. You are too late. The words hovered on the screen, impossible and immediate. I realized in that moment that I was no longer just a reader. I was a target. I didn't even have time to catch my breath. My eyes were still glued to the screen when a new post appeared, one that hadn't been there moments before. Day 5, 479. It says the new one. I froze. My pulse was hammering in my chest. I checked the number again, over and over. 5479. Today's date in some strange, twisted reckoning. This account wasn't a relic of the past anymore. It wasn't a record I could observe from a safe distance. It was alive, real time, watching, and now somehow aware of me. I tried to convince myself I was imagining it, that my exhaustion and obsession had finally warped reality. But then another post appeared just a few minutes later. Day 5, 479, update. You brought it here. The words struck like ice water. I hadn't done anything wrong, just browsed, just scrolled, but apparently that act alone was enough. I felt the screen grow colder. My hands went clammy. The line blurred between watching and being watched. I leaned back in my chair, trembling, and looked at the account profile. Something had changed there, too. A detail I hadn't noticed before. The location field. My city. The street I lived on. I double-checked. Surely it was coincidence, a prank. But it matched perfectly. My city. My street. My building. A knot formed in my stomach. I had crossed some invisible threshold. Curiosity, something harmless in theory, had turned into danger. The posts weren't warnings anymore, they were messages. Directed at me.